Mr. Speaker.
Scott Simpson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to speak in the second reading of the Manukau City Council Regulation of Prostitution in Specified Places Bill in my capacity as the current chairman of the Local Government and Environment Select Committee. And I want to acknowledge and thank the Honourable Lynette King for her very detailed, thoughtful and good analysis of the history of this piece of legislation and its long march journey through the Parliament of New Zealand. And the Honourable Lynette King, I think, made a very good point about now being the time for Parliament to bring this matter to an end and to encourage and in fact invite the current Auckland Council, if they wish, to pass the bylaw which they so clearly can, should they wish to do so. Sir, about 25 years ago I was manager of a business called Protector Safety. And they had a branch in Hunter's Corner in Papatoe in Manukau City as it was then. And I can assure members that even that long ago, we were, as local business people, having to contend with the issues of street prostitution and particularly the issues that related to tidying up the mess that was there every morning as we opened up the business for a day's trading and we had to sort of clear away the goings-on from the night before. And so I have an enormous amount of sympathy for the business folk of Hunter's Corner and other parts of South Auckland where street prostitution has been without doubt an ongoing issue for many, many years. But the reality is, and the committee came to the very clear decision after years, as the Honourable Lynette King has so clearly pointed out, after years of deliberation, after years of getting advice, after years of consultation, after years of hearing from every kind of expert possible on these matters, they came to the conclusion as a committee, we did, that in fact the Auckland City Council already has the power to create a bylaw should they so wish. And indeed other councils around the country have done so. Hamilton's been mentioned, and indeed before the amalgamation of the Auckland City Super City, Rodney District Council had in fact passed their own legislation which under the rules of amalgamation and the way the Auckland City has been set up actually still stand in place today. And so the Local Government and Environment Committee concluded that it was absolutely possible for the Auckland City Council to regulate street prostitution should they so wish. And if they were to do so, it's not going to be in any kind of contravention or inconsistent with the New Zealand Bill of Rights Act or indeed the Prostitution Reform Act, which has been cited as reason by those people who would want this Parliament to make special legislation on this matter. They think that that may in some way be an inhibitor or a roadblock. In fact, it's not. The advice that we've had is very clear that it is not, and it's very possible for Auckland City to do so if they wish in a way that's not inconsistent with the Bill of Rights and not inconsistent with the Prostitution Reform Act. The Local Government Act of 2002 specifically allows local authorities to make bylaws, and I quote, to protect public from nuisance, protect, promote and maintain public health and safety, to minimise potential for offensive behaviour in public, and to regulate trading in public places. Now, under each of those heads, there is more than sufficient scope for Auckland City, should they wish, to pursue a bylaw in this area. In fact, this very day, Mr. Speaker, representatives of the Auckland City Council appeared before the Health Select Committee to tell us about bylaws they had made to regulate salaria and sunbed operations in Auckland City. And it strikes me, sir, that Auckland City has the capacity, in fact the history, of regulating by bylaw all manner of behaviour and business and human activity. And they seem to be able to do it with great gusto and great enthusiasm and a whole range of other subjects. And why they have chosen not to do so on this matter defies my understanding, sir. Many of the complaints about street prostitution relate specifically to issues relating to noise, to littering, to slow-moving vehicles, what's usually referred to as curb crawling, and of course they relate to issues relating to disorderly behaviour. And sir, these can actually all be matters that are able to be dealt with under existing bylaws that the Auckland Council has available to them. So, sir, after all this time, after all this history, the committee of the 51st Parliament came to a unanimous conclusion that this bill should not be passed. And the Honourable Annette King made the very good point that if that was not the case, and in fact if this Parliament did pass this piece of local legislation, then we would be inundated with requests from all other local territorial authorities seeking us to pass the same type of legislation in a way that I think would be a gross misuse of this Parliament's time and resources, particularly given that opportunity for bylaws already exist. And so, sir, we come now to the 51st Parliament, nearly 10 years on from the time when this first iteration of this bill was first introduced by the Honourable George Hawkins all those years ago. And sir, it is time, I think, for this House to support the recommendations of the 51st Parliament's Local Government and Environment Select Committee, support the recommendation of the committee passed unanimously that this bill not proceed. And that's the course of action that I commend to the House, and I do so with confidence that it will be supported by the vast majority of members across the House, and I commend the committee's report and its recommendation to the House.
Tracy Martin.